Okay, so if you got the title and you're a little bit confused, let me explain. So, if you didn't know, the Basics in Behavior video isn't even the first episode of the series. From what I understand, it's more of a pilot episode, and if you don't know what a pilot episode is, there's a definition on screen. The reason I said it's like kind of a pilot episode is because, well, yes, it's the first thing that we know about the series. It doesn't tell us everything. And one of the main things it doesn't really tell us a lot about is the actual story of this series. So, let's talk about that. What is the story of fundamental paper education going to be? Okay, let's start with basics in behavior. There are a few key things we need to take note of in this video. First of all, it takes place in a school, more specifically the paper school. Well, we don't know specifically what these teachers are. We know that they are not human. We know that at least some of these teachers do kill people. Finally, based on the fact that this series is called Fundamental Paper Education, we can assume that most, if not all of it, will take place in this school. Okay, so now let's move on to evidence outside of this video. On Katie's Twitter, there's a lot of cool things that we can talk about. I'm gonna start with some of the more small things, and then I'm gonna work up to some of the bigger things that we can talk about. So on Katie's Twitter, there are a lot of things about Claire. The reason this is important as it brings a lot of light to my theory that maybe the characters who die in the first episode are really dead. By the way, watch that video, it's linked here. This also brings evidence to my theory that maybe Claire is the main character. By similar evidence, we can assume that Oliver and Alice will also be main characters. And if you want a little bit more evidence, Oliver is Katie's like main OC now. Okay, so before we move on to stuff that needs like in-depth analysis, I'd like to ask you to subscribe. I'm a relatively small creator. My goal is 100k subscribers by this time next year, and it really does help. Okay, so let's move on to the less surface level stuff. First of all, you know I'm gonna have to talk about these two images. These two images are by far the most interesting lore in this entire series to me. So let's talk about that. The first image reads, "It's all your fault, Claire." This outright confirms it, for me at least, that Claire is gonna be the main character of the series. In my opinion, this is the lore that will probably help us solve the entire series. So in my opinion, I believe that this text is referring to why Claire is even going to the paper school. The evidence and reasoning I have for this is, first of all, Claire is a new student. In fact, if I remember correctly, it's their first day at that school. And also, this will make sense in a second, it's a small school. Now, why is it all their fault that they're at this school? Well, I do have a theoretical idea. It might be an outplacement school. An outplacement school is where you go sometimes if you have like emotional difficulties or whatever. Generally, these schools are there to better accommodate you to make things easier. Now, obviously, if this is true, Claire's going to one that is not doing that. Now, why they're going there, I do have a potential lead. So, Katie has another tweet, and then in this tweet, there's an image with more hidden text. What the text basically says is that Claire got in an argument or something with someone with a weapon. Now, I don't know about you, but this would kind of mentally scar me. So, in my opinion, it makes sense for them to end up in an outplacement school because of this. Also, just thought to mention, on Katie's Twitter, there are a bunch of new characters for the series. If you'd like me to go over them in a future video, just leave a comment. With that being said, thank you for watching, subscribe, and bye-bye!